Alright, we're going to brew some silver. This is ionic silver. Now this method that I'm going to show y'all today, I learned from Terry Chamberlain at the Natural Health Library on Facebook. So you can go on over to that group and check it out. He's got all this stuff I'm going to show you, very detailed information, PDF documents of how to build it, how to do it at home. He even sells the 1 quart and the 1 gallon little machines real cheap. But you can make it out of printer power supplies at home. You know, cut the end off the cable, make it like that. I'll show you how to do that, and do it in quart size with a piece of wood and a couple pieces of silver. You know, that's the way we started doing it. And then I went and bought a power supply, a stirrer, and went up to making about 1 gallon at a time, 3 liters. So I can kick the voltage up some, and I can keep an eye on my amperage, but that's not necessary. You can do it all with that. So really, on your first batch, you're not going to have a starter. I've got a starter here, so I save about 1/4 of my previous batch to increase the conductivity in the water and, you know, get the amperage up quick, and it decreases my time, I should say. It cuts the time to about 1/3, or cuts it down about 1/3. So anyway, this one's going to take about 1 hour. If you don't have a starter, if you're up at around 55 volts on 1 gallon, it's going to take you about 3 hours. But if you've got one of these little ones, printer cable like this, that's 24 volts, you know, I'm thinking it's probably going to take you, it's been a while since I've done one, but probably a good 6 hours or so. And you can gauge it by just watching the water. You know, hook it up, watch the water. When it starts getting a little yellow tinge to it or something, you're good. The silver particles are starting to clump together, and it's causing the light to refract a little different, so you'll start getting a little yellow color to the water. So anyway, so just stop there. If you like it yellow, that's what I like. I like to see the yellow. So that's where I brew it until it starts turning yellow, and then I just do the same thing every time, because it's going to vary according to the temperature, the kind of water that you're using, the cycle of the moon. Seriously, I mean, there's a lot of variables in there. So you're just going to kind of have to hook it up, whatever voltage you're operating at, and then just watch the water, and when it starts turning yellow, you're ready. So, all right, so steam distilled water. I always make sure when I'm getting my distilled water and look and make sure it's steam distilled water. And fill it up. I just fill it up as much as I can. I don't really go by any line or anything. But you know, just make sure your little wires ain't touching together in there, and get them a good little distance apart. I'm a couple inches or so.
So what is that?
This is, sorry, back up a little bit. This is, these are silver wires, and you can get it on Amazon or order it online. There's a bunch of different companies. This is 99.999% pure. 4 nines, I'm sorry, 99.9999%. You don't have to go that pure. There's other places that say you can do 3 nines, or might have even been 2 nines. But anyway, I just like to get the purest I can. So anyway, this is 4 nines, and just hook it up, positive and negative. What you're doing is you're creating electrolysis, and the distance apart. That's gonna be one of those variables I was talking about. That's gonna determine your brew time. So it's a distance apart here, because electrolysis is happening between the 2 wires, the anode and the cathode, and so that's where it's happening. So just kind of watch it. If it's, you know, you can spread them out a little bit or a little closer. And anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and get it started. I've got mine set. And I like to agitate it. If you don't have a stirrer or whatever, and you're going to go this method, you can just come and stick a spoon in there. Use a wooden spoon. Don't use a metal spoon. But anyway, use a spoon and just kind of stir it every now and then. You'll start seeing a buildup on the wire. That's just oxidation. It's just silver oxide. It's not going to hurt anything. You're going to filter that out at the end. There's not going to be any particles in what you're putting on your skin that you can see. Anyway, so that's it. And just start it. It's going to take probably about an hour. I like to start my little timer and just keep an eye on how long it's been going. So I guess that's about it. Real simple process. Can do everything at home. All right, so we got our batch going. I was going to show y'all. You just pick up some old printer cables, power cables. This one, what you look at on the back here is like, say, AC input. This is a charger. AC input, 100 to 240 volts. So that's what we're provided in America. When you plug into a receptacle on the wall, it's 120 volts. So DC output is 59 on this one. So, you know, it's running a little higher than I'm running. So you could have a batch done in 30 minutes to an hour. Fresh batch, no starter, would be done in about 3 hours. And then if you're, if you got this one, say, its input is 120, 240, same thing, so works perfect. 24 volts, so that's going to take, probably twice the amount of time, so maybe 6 hours. And then if you've got a starter, it's going to take maybe 2 or 3 hours at that voltage. But like I say, there's a lot of variables in there. So anyway, I was going to show y'all real quick. I cut the end off of this one already. It just had a plug for, I guess, the whatever it was going to charge on this end. This end goes into the wall, 120 volts. So cut the end off of it, and then you just kind of strip it back here. You got a couple of wires that you can put you some little alligator clamps on them.
So you're just stripping the wires?
Yeah, I just strip the wires back inside there and put you some of these little. You got some little alligator clamps here, and I'm not going to go through the whole process because you got to thread that little wire through that little bitty hole right there, and I'm not sure y'all want to watch me do that, but anyway, you get the gist. You stick this on there, and you crimp it on like that, and grab a hold to that. Then you got 2 alligator clips here to go onto your silver, and there you go. So that's your silver generator right there, and you can find these at Goodwill. You can go down to Goodwill and pick one up all day long, and so all you got to do is pay for the silver and get you some water, and you're good. All right, that's it. One thing you need to be aware of is I've got things set up because I've had a stir for since the beginning, or for a long time. But in the beginning, we just hung the wires over the edge of the jar, and because like I was telling you, electrolysis is happening between the anode and the cathode right here. And so if you have them close together in the liquid that's not being agitated in any way, the particles are going to start, there's going to be more of them in between the 2 wires, and so your amperage is going to go up. You're going to get larger particles. I like to keep the particle size down, so that way it's more bioavailable to our cells. So I agitate the whole time is why my anode and cathode are kind of close together, but if you're not going to do that, I would suggest starting out like this with them hanging on the outside of the jar. That way you've got the full buffer zone in between the two, and then just kind of watch it from there. All right, and if you're going to stir it, if you feel the need to stir it, because you're going to get a buildup of silver oxide on the wires, like I said, use a wooden spoon. Just kind of stick it in there and move it around a little bit. You know, it will help if you're, you know, getting too much of a buildup. Or you can swap polarity. You know, just swap your wires after an hour or so to the other wire and let it build up for a little while. And when you get done, you'll have to filter it. And if your water starts turning real cloudy, sometimes there's some impurities in the distilled water. So that's why I was saying try to get steam distilled. But that's okay. You know, just stop and maybe try to switch water. Let it sit for a little while. It'll clear up sometimes. But as long as you have steam distilled water and you've got pure silver, and all you're doing is putting electricity on it, there's really no way to mess it up. All right, now that we got a batch ready, it's time to jar it up. So all these jars beforehand, I got a big pot, boiling water, and submerged everything in boiling water for a minute or so, and then set it up here to dry. And then got these filters here. Now these are unbleached filters. That's what I prefer, you know, just do what you want there, but I try to limit as much exposure as possible. So anyway, we'll just go ahead and pour all this up. Ooh, try not to spill it. Okay, and then I'll leave about a quarter of the container roughly, because you're gonna need a starter for the next batch. You'll that makes your liquid more conductive as soon as you start brewing, and you don't have to cut your brewing time down into a third of the initial time. So anyway, there you go. All right, we got it all jarred up, and I'm using clear jars here, but the best way to store silver is in the dark. So get you some amber jars, or if you're going to use clear jars, wrap it in a rag or something and stick it in the cabinet, or if you got a cabinet with a door on it, or get you some of these amber jars, or save your kombucha tea bottles, or you know, whatever you can do. So all right, that's it.